Boris, to begin with, how would you define yourself? Would you define yourself as an agent of Western intelligence who came to this country 2 decades ago, or do you in other words, as a defector, or do you define yourself in a different way today?
Being born right before the Second World War, I lived through lives of Germans occupying Poland, then Soviets occupying Poland and lying, and then the third time I was lied by the Central Intelligence Agency that I'm doing a good job spying on the Soviet Union, and that was supposed to help so-called democracy that I did not know does not exist.
And what is your chief critique right now of the Central Intelligence Agency? Do you feel that the Central Intelligence Agency is fundamentally flawed and has to be changed, or do you right now think that it's a matter of reform?
Since ancient times, goods were sold for profit, services were sold for profit. I sold my service to this country for nothing. United States government, and in particular Central Intelligence Agency, is a lying organization. It is an organization without honor that should not represent the interest of this country. And I would go as far as say that Soviet Union knew better how to take care of their own agents than United States did. Information that we, the agents, supplied is of a vital interest to this country. If the information is disregarded, if information is just shelved as it was, and if the people who deliver this information are not taken care of, then the whole gathering of information is completely senseless. And that's what I experienced. Yes, I worked for the Central Intelligence Agency. Yes, I was gathering intelligence on the Soviet Union, on the KGB.
But now, of course, the CIA is stronger than it's ever been, and we would imagine the intelligence arms of the other agencies like Defense Department, and now there's, as you know, a Director of National Intelligence and so forth, in addition to a Director of Central Intelligence. And we have all these other organizations that are set up. But fundamentally, is your feeling now that that the original CIA that is known throughout the world, some view it in a good way and many view it in a demonic way, but do you think that it should be scrapped? Do you think it should be changed, reformed, or completely scrapped?
Well, let me go back to the 70s when I served the CIA. 70s, CIA during the 70s was a total fiasco. It was a bunch of people who did not know what they do, who could not run an agent of influence or agent who could gather information. I personally remember times when I was meeting in the house of my case officer, where next door was living the Czechoslovakian military attaché who was photographing us, and that's how I got actually exposed. CIA nowadays, I don't have any contact with the CIA today. At the same time, basing my feelings on weapons of mass destruction that never existed in Iraq, based on stupidity of this government that cannot use the information supplied every day, every morning by the Central Intelligence Agency, I believe that the whole system, CIA is only a part of a system. It's only one wheel in the system called United States government. This machine is not working at all. And if Mr. Bush, who, God forbid, is our president, goes to Sochi to convince anybody about anything, I put a big question mark on intentions of this president, and perhaps he will find in Sochi weapons of mass destruction. Who knows what a nightmare he had last night.
Now, I want to turn a little bit to current events, because I am interested in getting your reading about if I name 4 or 5 potential enemies of the United States, groups or countries, but let's go through a list like Al Qaeda, modern China, meaning.
Let me stop you for a second on Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda, as a term in translation, it means the base. We, the CIA, we created Al Qaeda that time when Mujahideen were fighting the Soviet army in Afghanistan. Suddenly, anybody who opposes to the politics of the United States government is Al Qaeda. It is a total nonsense. There was no Al Qaeda in Iraq until we marched in. There was no Al Qaeda anywhere but Afghanistan. Probably few other small countries in Africa, in northern Africa. We have created Al Qaeda. We've done everything to create enemies. I don't believe that Iraqis are extremely happy people having American army occupying their country. I believe that we should get our boys and girls out of Iraq ASAP, because though they try to do their best, they can't. Spreading so-called democracy in Iraq, first thing, we have to learn what a democracy is. There is no democracy in the United States. So, what are we doing? We are creating enemies all around the world. Going to Poland and trying to put so-called shield against eventual rockets that might be fired by North Korea? Please give me a break. Put one of those big ships right in close to Tonkin Bay and shoot any rocket that is aimed at the United States. You don't need Poland, you don't need Czech Republic, you don't need to piss off Russia, that is doing actually much better than the United States nowadays. So I never thought that I will ever agree with Russia or Soviet Union. I agree with them on Kosovo. It is a part of Serbia. I believe that it is a complete nonsense to put any defensive weaponry in Central Europe. I think that America is doing exactly what Adolf Hitler did, what Joseph Stalin did. We are creating subservient countries that will serve American interests, though it will not work. Simple. And without information, without correct and truthful information, without honest information, just like between the smallest particles in physics, where molecules communicate, that's how matter is created. The same among people. If the disinformation is created, the things fall apart. United States is falling apart. Economically, there's poverty in whole Appalachian region. There are people without work for 45 years.